Quake. A classic first-person shooter at nearly 25 years of age, and it just recently got a massive update with a ton of new content, such as a new set of campaign levels. It's also received a brand new local multiplayer mode with full controller support. Quake has been effectively remastered with all this new content because it's now running in the Quake Engine, rather than the Quake Engine. This overhaul is in the same vein as Blood, Fresh Supply, another classic FPS ported over from its engine to the Quake Engine, also done by the same developer, Night Dive Studios. But is the transition here more seamless than Blood was? And more to the point, how is the all-new local multiplayer mode? Let's find out. If you haven't played Quake, it's a really fun first-person shooter. While it was king of the multiplayer FPS back in the LAN and early online days, it still has a very fun and engaging single player. Now, Quake used to dominate LAN parties, but with the rise of online gaming and Quake being one of the first games to embrace it, it's less about sharing a room with the boys anymore, and more about getting your own screen into this more little isolated area of your house and just playing hours on end. With couch multiplayer, everyone is recognizing the social benefits of same-room multiplayer gaming again. Quake has now come full circle with a renewed online multiplayer component in addition to a split-screen mode for local multiplayer play, replacing the LAN mode. Quake was designed around its own engine from the ground up, similar to the Unreal Engine, aptly named the Quake Engine. Quake has been effortlessly ported to the new Quake Engine by Night Dive Studios, and with it, has had numerous quality of life enhancements. In this case, we've got better textures and lighting, higher screen resolutions, and native widescreen. It's also an improvement over Blood Fresh Supply, a game previously ported to the Quake Engine by Night Dive. That game had its issues though. The build engine that game was ported from was a 2D engine that utilized a bunch of tricks to make it look and feel like a fully 3D game. When it was ported over to the Quake Engine, a fully 3D engine, there were numerous issues at launch, even after it was patched. Now, none of this is in Quake. This is a great port with little holding it back. Hardcore players might need to get used to the various changes that come with new engines, like the physics changing, but I feel Night Dive did a pretty fantastic job here. It feels great to play. So how is the all-new local multiplayer mode? Well, it's decent. It's not as good as Blood Fresh Supply's local multiplayer mode, though. It honestly needs a bit of work still, too. You have access to a dizzying list of maps, but they aren't organized. So if you're new to any of these names, you're probably just going to be picking random maps until you find something you like. And let me tell you, it's going to be a total crapshoot picking the good ones out for your game night group. Quake is what you'd call an arena shooter. There are no loadouts or complex objectives. Instead, all of your weapons and power-ups are spawned all around the map at specific areas. You run around at a fast pace picking them up and murdering people. And you do that until the score limit is reached or the timer runs out. It's pretty simple, but it's extremely engaging and fun. The maps are what make the game, and Quake has some good ones, but the implementation for local multiplayer is still a bit frustrating. Some maps are designed for 8 players, like in the original game, but none of the maps here have any sort of labeling, and the game only supports 4 players locally. This means picking one is still a crapshoot. Some maps are just too big, and you'll be running around trying to find each other, and it only gets worse as the number of players drops down. I was playing with 3 people here, and our map hunting experience was honestly 50-50. Sometimes we had a really fun, engaging map, and other times it was a frustrating nightmare because we either couldn't find each other because the maps were too big, or they were too small and it became a mess of getting spawned in and then getting hit by someone's rocket launcher. It kind of sucked, although that is what you'd expect from Quake. It is a stream of chaos constantly hitting you, and you can find fun in that, but I did honestly find Blood's multiplayer a little bit more balanced and more fun. Quake is the granddaddy of online play, and it's a classic in the realm of LAN play and arena multiplayer shooters, and I can see why. But on the couch, playing with analog sticks, in this implementation, it doesn't live up to its potential. This game was designed to be played on a mouse and keyboard, and nowhere is that more apparent than the surprisingly fun single-player campaign. I had a lot of fun playing that. Alright, So, like every game for this series, revolving around local multiplayer games, we're going to talk about price, ease of play, and lasting appeal. So first up is price, and this one falls into tier 1 at under $10. You're getting a great value here out of the box. Normally a game at this tier pricing gets you a local multiplayer game only, but here we've got local and online in addition to a fully featured single-player campaign. That is great for that price point, and I'm glad Bethesda didn't raise the price of the game for porting the game over to the new engine, even though it would have been justified, as you still get access to the original version as well, and they did all this extra work, all this extra content they didn't need to do. For ease of play, it's fine. There is a Bethesda login, but because I have some other games on Steam, I'm assuming, that are also logged into a Bethesda account, I didn't have to input my email or remember my password. I just started the game, it automatically logged me in, and I was off to the races. That's very refreshing. I don't mind making extra accounts, but please do not waste my time forcing me to reinstall launchers or remember passwords, and they didn't make me do that here, so I'm glad they at least got the implementation right. As for controller support, my Xbox One controllers using the 2.4 GHz wireless adapter worked immediately, but you can adjust each player's control scheme and sensitivity individually, which is nice, but be careful, you can accidentally change your controller to a different player, which sounds great, but we spent 10 minutes fiddling around because we thought it was for selecting a profile to change, for your stick sensitivity, and not actually changing, what screen you're on. So that's a good feature, Bethesda. I would have appreciated it more if it was labeled a little better and I didn't have to restart the game. It cuts into the time. The reason why I bring, tiny things up, like logging in and setting up controllers, is because it eats into your time when you play with a group of friends. It's like, okay, I got the buddies over for 2 hours. Do I want to play something old and, we know what we're getting into, or do I want to try something new and I just want to launch into it with no expectations? And it's a problem when, you're spending 10 minutes trying to fix something or dicking around, and you make yourself look like an asshole in front of your friends, because now you're wasting their time. Otherwise, ease of access is pretty good. However, there is one annoying-ass feature of this game that I cannot believe anyone thought was a good idea. When you want to see the score screen, the scorecard is viewed over player 1's screen. It does not go to the screen of the player who pressed the button to pull it up. This means that when someone gets a kill or dies, they will instinctively, because you do it in Halo, you do it in Call of Duty, you do it in all these games, you pull up your little score screen to see your KDR, and then that little score screen pops up over player 1's screen and blinds them immediately, because that's where it shows up, meaning you can totally get killed by it, like one of your friends being like, oh yeah, let me check my, oh shit, I'm sorry, Jake, I just fell in lava. It's like, oh yeah, let me just pull up my score. Oh shit, I'm sorry, Jake. Well, thanks, Aaron. You fucking just killed me. Now Joseph's gonna laugh at me and call me a loser. What in God's name were they thinking with this? I cannot play this game with certain friends now, like Joseph, because he would spam that shit because he's a little asshole because he wants to throw me off. When you make a local multiplayer game to be played with friends, you gotta make it work for almost every type of friend, including the asshole friend. Some games don't compensate for the asshole friend, and that's fine, they can't see everything. But that score screen is really bad, and it'll be frustrating no matter what kind of friends you're playing with, because everyone is going to instinctively hit the score screen button, and it's going to pop over you, and then you're going to fall into a pit of lava, or you're going to miss your shot, and you're going to get killed. It's happened! I've already experienced this, and how this game still has this little problem 2 months after release shows me that there was a lack of effort put into the local multiplayer mode. There's no labeling for the maps, and there's this stupid score screen card. It's frustrating. It feels underdeveloped. So, for lasting appeal, are you enjoying the shooter renaissance and want to pick up something tried and true? Buy Quake. I think this game is a great value for just the single player, and you get some new content in addition to the old stuff. If you're looking into the multiplayer component only, you might be better off with Quake Live for your online, which has its following still, and plays more like the more popular Quake 3 with some quality of life improvements. Local, which is exclusive to this game, can be fun, but it's not super polished right now. And personally, I'm not super into it as I was with Blood Fresh Supply. Get this game for the single player, and the multiplayer will just be a nice extra. So, unfortunately, for a Quest for the Couch game, I can't really recommend this one, but for a game in general, and you're like, oh, maybe multiplayer on the side, Playing this game, you can totally see why it's still a classic even almost 25 years later. It's a really good title, but I would not get it for the local multiplayer until it's been fixed. If this game gets a patch, I can kind of recommend it for the local multiplayer because the price is so low, but for now, get it just for the single player. Also, as a side note, I have this game outputting to my capture card, and for whatever reason, it kept dropping signal. It might be my setup, but we played Mario Party the next night, and that went just fine, so I don't know what's going on with this thing. I'm pointing that out to any potential streamer or YouTuber who might care about that kind of thing. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm out.